One day around noon, a fisherman is sitting on the docks smoking his pipe next to his haul for the day. A wealthy industrialist sees this and is positively confounded.
"Why aren't you out fishing?"
demands the industrialist to the fisherman.
"I've caught all the fish I need for the day," said the fisherman.
"Why don't you go catch more?"
"And why would I do that?" replied the fisherman.
"Why, if you caught more fish, you could get a bigger boat, go to deeper waters, and catch more fish. Soon you could have a fleet of fishing boats, all getting you fish to sell. You could be rich."
The fisherman sits and ponders for a second. Then he asks,
"And why would I want that?"
The industrialist is astounded at the insolence of the fisherman and shouts,
"If you were rich, you could spend all day relaxing and doing whatever you want."
The fisherman quickly shoots back,
"What the hell's it look like I'm doing right now?"
A farmer had 5 female pigs. Times were hard, so he decided to take them to the county fair and sell them. At the fair, he met another farmer who owned 5 male pigs. After talking a bit, they decided to mate the pigs and split everything equally. The farmers lived 60 miles apart, so they agreed to meet halfway, then find a field where they could let the pigs mate. The first morning, the farmer with the female pigs got up at 5 a.m., loaded the pigs into the family station wagon, and drove the 30 minutes to the field. While the pigs were mating, he asked the other farmer,
"How will I know if they're pregnant?"
The other farmer replied,
"If they're lying in the grass tomorrow morning, they're pregnant. If they're in the mud, they're not."
The next morning, the pigs were rolling in the mud. So he hosed them off, loaded them into the family station wagon, and proceeded to try again. This continued each morning for more than a week. Both farmers were worn out. The next morning, the farmer was too tired to get out of bed. He called to his wife,
"Honey, please look outside and tell me whether the pigs are in the mud or in the grass."
"Neither,"
yelled his wife.
"They're in the station wagon, and one of them is honking the horn."
A woman in her 80s made the evening news because she was getting married for the 4th time. The following day, she was being interviewed by a local TV station. The commentator asked her what it felt like to be married again at that age, and would she share part of her previous experiences. It seemed quite unique that her new husband was a funeral director. After a short time to think, a smile came to her face. She proudly explained that she had first married a banker when she was in her 20s. In her 40s, she married a circus ringmaster. In her 60s, she married a pastor. And now, in her 80s, a funeral director. The amazed commentator asked her why she had married men with such diverse careers. With a smile on her face, she explained,
"I married 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 to go."
A man sitting at a bar after work shares with the bartender the reason he is looking so stressed. "I'm not sleeping well. I have nightmares about a monster under my bed and I'm too embarrassed to seek help." A patron nearby overhears this and introduces himself.
"I overheard your story and I'm a psychiatrist. Maybe I can help. The first thing is you need to recognize these are only dreams. I should be able to help you in a few sessions. Here's my card. Give me a call."
A few weeks pass, and the same two are once again at the bar after work. The psychiatrist says to the other guy,
"Hi, how are your nightmares? I never heard from you, so I hope you're doing okay."
The other guy says, "Things are great. The bartender helped me." The psychiatrist replied,
"You need a trained professional to help you. What possibly could a bartender do that a psychiatrist couldn't?"
The other guy says, "He told me to saw the legs off my bed." A photographer from a well-known national magazine was assigned to cover the fires at Yellowstone National Park. When the photographer arrived, he realized that the smoke was so thick that it would seriously impede or make it impossible for him to photograph anything from ground level. He requested permission to rent a plane and take photos from the air. He arrived at the airport and saw a plane warming up near the gate. He jumped in with his bag and shouted, "Let's go!" The pilot swung the little plane into the wind, and within minutes, they were in the air. The photographer said,
fly over the park and make 2 or 3 low passes so I can take some pictures.
Why? Asked the pilot.
Because I'm a photographer,
He responded.
and photographers take photographs.
The pilot was silent for a moment. Finally, he stammered,
You mean you're not the flight instructor?
2 police officers saw an old woman staggering down the street. After stopping her, they could tell she had far too much to drink, and instead of taking her to jail, they decided to just drive her home. They loaded her into the police cruiser, and one of the officers gets in the back with the drunk woman. As they drove through the streets, they kept asking the woman where she lived. All she would say, as she stroked the officer's arm, is,
You're passionate.
They drove a while longer and asked her again. Again, the same response. As she stroked his arm, she said,
You're passionate.
The officers were getting a little upset, so they stopped the car and said to the woman,
Look, we've driven around this city for 2 hours and you still haven't told us where you live.
The woman says,
I keep trying to tell you. You're passionate.
Billy Bob comes home from college to his redneck family in tears. Ma, am I adopted? He asks.
Heck no.
Replies his mother.
Why in tarnations would you think such a thing?
Billy Bob shows her his genealogy DNA test results. No match for any of his relatives, and strong matches for a family who lived on the other side of the county. Confused, his mother calls her husband.
Pa, Billy Bob has done a DNA test, and he might not be our son.
Well, he ain't.
Replies the husband. She gasps.
What do you mean?
The husband answers.
It was your idea in the first place. You remember that first night in the hospital when the baby did nothing but scream and cry? Then you asked me to change him? Well, I picked a good one, I reckon.
This couple decides that they need a guard dog. The guy goes to a pet shop and says to one of the employees,
I need a guard dog to protect my house.
The employee responds, I have the perfect dog for you. He then showed him a Chihuahua. The man was not impressed and said,
I need a dog that can guard our house and fend off burglars. A Chihuahua can't do that.
Ah, but this is no regular Chihuahua. It's an attack Chihuahua, the employee said. Here, I'll show you how it works. Attack Chihuahua, chair! The employee pointed at a chair, and the guy and the employee watched as the Chihuahua destroyed the chair, leaving only splinters behind.
Wow,
The guy said.
but I still think we need a real guard dog.
Are you sure? He responded. Here, I'll show you again. Attack Chihuahua, table! He pointed to a table, and again, the Chihuahua absolutely destroyed the table. The man said,
Okay, I'll take it.
when he brought it home, his wife was very angry. Why did you buy a Chihuahua? She yelled.
Because,
He responded.
this is no ordinary Chihuahua. This is an attack Chihuahua.
She responded, Attack Chihuahua my ass! 3 old men are reminiscing at a local park. They start complaining about their biggest regrets on getting old. The first man said,
I'd give anything to take a good pee like I did when I was younger. Every morning I get up, it takes me 5 minutes to take a pee, and then it's only a small dribble.
The second old man said,
I'd give anything to take a good dump like I did when I was young. Every morning I sit on the throne and strain until I can finally get a little something out.
The third old man said,
Well, every morning at 5 a.m., I take me a really long pee. Then at 6 a.m., on the dot, I drop a really big log.
The other 2 old men look at him and say,
So what the heck are you complaining about?
The third old man replies,
I don't wake up until 7.
2 buddies are fishing, but they haven't caught anything all day long. Then, another fisherman walks by with a huge load of fish. They ask him,
Excuse me, but where did you get all those fish?
The other fisherman replies,
If you just go down the stream until the water isn't salty, there's a ton of hungry fish.
They thank him and go on their way. 15 minutes later, one fisherman says to the other,
Fill the bucket up with water and see if the water's salty.
he dips the bucket into the stream and drinks some.
Nope, still salty.
30 minutes later, he asks him to check again.
Nope, still salty.
1 hour later, they check again.
Nope, still salty.
This isn't good.
The fisherman finally says,
We've been walking for almost 2 hours and the water's still salty.
I know.
says the other.
And the bucket's almost empty too.
A saddened cowboy walks into a bar. The bartender asks,
Why the long face?
the cowboy replies, I just found out my wife is sleeping with another man. I've decided I'm going to drink myself to death. The bartender looks shocked and says,
I'm sorry, but I can't help you kill yourself.
the cowboy asks, Well, what would you do in my situation? The bartender puffs himself up a bit and says,
If I found out a guy was sleeping with my wife, I wouldn't sit around feeling sorry for myself. I'd kill the guy.
The cowboy jumps up from his stool and shouts,
That's a great idea!
and runs out of the bar. A couple of hours go by, and the bartender is starting to get nervous, when the cowboy walks back into the bar with a big smile on his face.
Did you kill the guy?
The bartender asks nervously.
Nope. I slept with your wife.
3 friends, a rabbi, a Hindu holy man, and a lawyer, had car trouble in the countryside and asked to spend the night with a farmer. The farmer said,
Yeah, there might be a problem. You see, I only have room for 2 to sleep, so one of you must sleep in the barn.
No problem,
chimed the rabbi.
my people wandered in the desert for 40 years. I am humble enough to sleep in the barn for an evening in their memory.
With that, he departed to the barn, and the others bedded down for the night. Moments later, a knock was heard at the door. The farmer opened the door. There stood the rabbi from the barn.
Well, what's wrong?
Asked the farmer. He replied,
I am grateful to you, good sir, but I cannot sleep in the barn. There is a pig in the barn, and my faith believes that this is an unclean animal.
His Hindu friend agreed to swap places with him. But a few minutes later, the same scene reoccurred. There was a knock on the door.
What's wrong now?
The farmer asked. The Hindu holy man replied,
I too am grateful for you helping us out. But there is a cow in the barn, and in my country, cows are considered sacred. I can't sleep on holy ground.
Well, that left only the lawyer to make the change. He grumbled and complained, but went out to the barn. Moments later, there was another knock on the farmer's door. Frustrated and tired, the farmer opened the door, and there stood the pig and the cow.